What's up, y'all? We have got one game remaining, and that means it's time to put everything that we have learned this season into use. And with that in mind, we have two Super Bowl prop bets that are backed by the utilization data. So our first bet that we're going to look at is Dallas Goedert over 48.5 receiving yards at minus 120 at BetMGM. So there are four reasons that I really like this bet for Goedert. First of all, 55.9 receiving yards per game is Goedert's average. Then if we look at the second point, 48.5 is a number that he's gone over 8 of 14 games in the season. And then third, if we look at his trend over the last 3 games, remember, Goedert missed an extended period before coming back from injury. He's really looking healthy. His target shares over those games, 23%, 22%, and 25%. And the final point, over the last 2 games, we've seen the Eagles only have to drop back to pass 40% of the time, yet we still have 10 targets for Dallas Goedert. Do you really think that we're going to have a game against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl where it's going to be over before halftime? And if you don't think that, then this is a bet that we should definitely be looking at. For our second bet, we are going to stay with the Eagles, and we're going to go with another over because let's face it, people, it's more fun to bet overs than it is to bet unders. So let's have some fun on the last football day of the season. So with Miles Sanders, we're looking at over 59.5 yards, rushing minus 115 at BetMGM. So here's what I like about this bet. Sanders actually averages 73.8 rushing yards per game, well above the number we're getting here at 59.5. And then if we look at him on a per game basis, he's gone over 59.5 in 11 of 19 games. Now I know what you're thinking, like, Dwayne, that's not a ton, 11 of 19, it's just basically half. However, that number could be higher. So over the last 3 games, Sanders just hasn't played much in the second half for multiple reasons. Week 18, the Eagles were resting their starters late in the game. We look at the divisional round, it was a complete blowout. Sanders was only on the field to take 22% of the rushing attempts in the second half. That's well below his season average, which sets at 43% in the second half. And then if we look last weekend against the San Francisco 49ers, we had another blowout situation, and he only handled 4% of the rushing attempts in the second half, which has made it look like Kenneth Gainwell's opportunities have actually increased, when in fact it's really just been the game script. And finally, when we just look at plays where the score has been within 3 points this season, Sanders gets 56% of the Eagles' rushing attempts. In close games where the Eagles have led by 4+ less than 35% of plays, hasn't happened that often, but when it does, he gets 67% of the carries, and he has hit the over in 4 of 4 games with 68.9 yards per game versus the 59.5 we're getting. So unless you think that this game is going to be a complete blowout where Kenneth Gainwell is going to need to handle everything in the fourth quarter, this is another good bet on the Eagles side that we need to be looking at.